Hello everyone, Florence Theriault here again, ready to talk to you and show you some wonderful dolls and accessories and furniture that I've had the privilege of working with for the past month, and I wanted to share them with all of you. We're working on two wonderful collections plus additional pieces from other collections, but two major collections we're working on is that of Laurie Baker of Colorado and Sandra Oettinger. You may be familiar with Laurie Baker from the many articles that she's written for Antique Doll Collector over the years about her fashion doll collection and accessories. And I'm just showing you pages from one of the articles she wrote here. And these dolls will all be featured in the auction of her collection. A very astute collector and very curious and some absolutely wonderful treasures. And Sandra Oettinger, well known within the doll collecting world for her superb couturier skills and her generous willingness to teach other people about costumes. I will tell you that one time, several years ago, I cataloged a costume. I thought it was totally original on the doll, and she called me and said, "Oh, Florence, I made that costume." And I said, "Wow, that is absolute, incredibly fine workmanship." The dolls of hers we have here today, however, are all in antique costumes, and I'm going to be very pleased to share them with you. I wanted to begin a little bit off track by showing you three dolls, because I very seldom, when I work with you on dolls, I very seldom ever have the opportunity to show you dolls when they are still naked, because they're ready to go, they've been cataloged, and we're not going to get them undressed again for the video. But we're kind of running a little late on our catalog production this time, so I still had two dolls that had been undressed for their photos that we take, the extra photos, and I said, "Oh, I want to show those, and now to have a chance to talk about some of them." Well, first of all, I'm just showing you this. This is not with the story, but this is just a wonderful little tiny brew that came into us, and this is the original body, and it is so perfect, and many of you never have a chance to see what these earliest bodies of brew were like, where they didn't have the gusset jointing in the arms. They just have the little curved arms with the wonderful bisque hands. When you read my descriptions and I say kid collarette, this is what I am referring to, all right? The way the collarette is scalloped at the top, a very distinctive on the early brew bébés. And little chubby body, and also, no pleasant word to describe it, but almost like an early crouch position, because Leon Casimir Brew had not determined a way to get these dolls to stand up straight when he first made them. So the kid always tended to be in this kind of sort of semi-sitting, semi-standing kind of pose. But it's an indication of its originality, and that's how they were made, and we're cherished when we find them so firm and just perfectly preserved like this. So I wanted to be able to share that with you. And then I wanted to show you two other dolls, which give me a chance to talk about some things. First of all, on your left, this is a Brew poupée. We're always familiar with the smiling poupée face, which is here on my right-hand side in the green gown. Now, the smiling poupée has a very distinctive smiling impression, and they're always marked with a letter on the back of the head indicating their size. So when people think of the letter-marked brews, they always think of this face, but they don't pay attention to the fact that earlier Brew had also made his fashion doll, which later evolved into the smiling one. And these are also marked with the letter, and in this case, it's marked with the letter H at the back of the head, a big incised letter H. And I wanted you to have a chance to see this doll, because this is an original Brew body as well, and a very distinctive Brew kid body with the square cut collarette. Not rounded like some of them are, but theirs are always square. Interesting are the wooden arms. This was at the time period that Brew, it would have been about 1868, and Brew had deposed his articulated wooden mannequin body that was actually very similar to the classic all wooden mannequin that artists had used over the years, with the ball swivel waist and the all articulated limbs. Brew had that, but then he recognized, well, maybe I better have one that isn't quite so expensive to produce, so I'll make one that has, it's all kid except for the arms. So this was a variation on it with the original wooden articulated arms and an early version of the smiling brew, little hint of smile on her face. In 1872, and I'll always remember this is one of my happier moments in all of doll research I did. Francois Tamer and I were working on the brew book, and we were ready to go to press, and he called and he said, wait, stop the presses, literally stop the presses. I've just been to the archives, and Danielle, his wife, would go to the French archives and spend so much time there long before internet, long before so many of the tools that make our life easier today. And she had found the original déposé that Brew had registered in 1872, 5 years after the wooden body, for the smiling face Brew. And it's such a distinctive doll. No one ever made one like it. He registered the face. If you have the Brew book, and let me show you this book in case, hold on one second, I'm going to get it for you here. In case you do not own this book, you should get a copy of it, because there's research in here that is so invaluable. And I know here I am, ex-librarian, I'm preaching books again, folks, but don't lose the opportunity of letting books come into our lives, because they will tell you so much more auxiliary to what you will find on the internet. Anyway, in this book, he told the story of finding the déposé pattern, and then he wrote about this. And we're showing you pictures now. We'll show you these two close-up pictures. And he proposed in his book, in the Brew book, 3 possibilities of how this face was modeled. One of them was, he said, that it was, collectors have always referred to it as the Mona Lisa, that it was inspired by the famous Mona Lisa smiling painting in the Louvre. He kind of poo-pooed that idea. Then he said another hypothesis is the angel face on the architectural work of the Reims Cathedral. And we're showing you that photograph right now, a full thing of that, and you will see how absolutely close to the smiling Brew face it looks. We also show it in the Brew book. And then the third hypothesis that collectors have always gone on to, and no one has ever proven this, is that it was a portrait of the Empress Eugenie. Now, this is interesting. The Empress Eugenie was overthrown. She and her husband were overthrown, and she left France in 1870. That would be 2 or 3 years before this face model was deposed by Brew in the French courts. So was it an homage to past times, or was it not the Empress Eugenie? We don't know. So much, those kind of wonderful research things are so great to know. We have to be careful that we don't assign absolutes to them, but we continue to search for them and to try to find different clues that might lead us to eventually finding a document which will tell us, a long lost letter that Leon Casimir Brew wrote to someone and saying, I've just come up with a new facial model and I based it on, fill in the blank. So keep searching, everybody. Hopefully we'll find it. Well, those are just 3 little dolls that I wanted to share more details with you than I usually have. We're really lucky in the Laurie Baker collection to have some extraordinary accessories. And I know how many of you constantly are searching for the really, really rare accessories that were made for the French poupées in the 1860 to 1875 or 1880 period. They become increasingly rare to find, and yet they're so important. There were articles published that told how there was nothing that was made for a human woman of fashion that wasn't also made in little small replica form for the poupées. And you could find all of these type of things, and you could find them in amazing array. They're rare treasures in themselves, and then displaying them with the dolls you have make them even more so. And if you do come to the auction, you'll be able to see how we'll show some of these pieces in curio cabinets and how they can fit in with your displays. But let's just look at some of them. First of all, I have a tray here in the back that have some singular pieces I'm going to show. Not an accessory, but an accessory furniture. I've never seen this before from Laurie's collection. It's a set of steps. Now, it could be steps for a high back bed. For example, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it could work with a bed like this, which would require steps to gracefully enter it. And so many of these early beds would have had these steps. It also could be used in a library to get to a higher shelf of books, and many of the old aristocratic homes had their complete library rooms. Interesting in that each of the stairs opens up, so you have a little storage compartment within. And each top of each stairs has a wonderful leather padding with gold-tooled edging around the outside for an extra decorative touch. Very, very beautifully crafted and made. I've never seen another pair. I was excited when I saw these. You can probably tell from my voice. Now, necessaires. Everyone needed a necessaire at this point because everyone mended their clothes. But if you were elegante, you would have an elegante necessaire. Look at this little gem. Here's the outside. Tortoise shell with cast brass edging, a bail handle, opening up to a mirrored back, and the most extraordinary interior of tiny, tiny miniature items. Absolutely precious. Probably from Maison Giroux. Keep that in mind, Giroux, because we're going to be talking about that in just a few minutes. And here is another one, made in so many shapes and forms. On the outside, a mother of pearl egg, again with a cast brass frame and edging, and then opening up to this wonderfully fitted interior with velvet backing and the mother of pearl and the gold cast, not mother, this one does not have mother of pearl, I beg your pardon, but the brass implements, the thimble, the scissors, the awl, and the needle cover, and even, in this case, a needle. A very, very wonderful early set. I wanted to show you this reticule deliberately because I think if you just see a photograph online or a photograph in the catalog, you may not really pay attention to it. The body of it is this wonderfully woven material, like a burgundy and a cream, loosely woven material, and then interspersed all over with tiny black beading to give it this intricate taste. But here's the killer. I shouldn't say the killer, but here's the crowning touch. That's more elegant. Here's the lid. It opens. Here it is. And then it opens to reveal this beautifully fitted interior with a little elaborately impressed gilded framed mirror. It's wonderful. Best yet, the lid itself, once it is closed, is this wonderful reclining, don't hold me to it on what kind of a dog it is, looks like a greyhound dog to me, reclining greyhound dog. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful accessory, and with the chain links and the belt loop to go on it. Now, one of the best, I've never seen this accessory before. I'm so excited about it. Look at these pair of roller skates. I'm going to try to fit it onto my finger here so you can actually see exactly how it goes. Pair of roller skates with wooden wheels, and the wheels actually rotate, and the brass footed, and then the leather backing so it fits around your ankle at the back and straps over the crown of your foot. Pair of roller skates. And here's the best part. On the bottom, stamped the patent date. And I did research it on the internet. I found the maker of the patent. You'll see that in the catalog and on the listing who the maker is. And this man patented adult roller skates, and they had a very, very distinctive purpose. It had something to do with the braking, of how if you tipped up your foot, it would form a brake and the wheels would stop rolling. It was very, very distinctive. So these were not designed as a doll toy, but I believe they were either like a promotional piece. Seems silly they would have been a salesman sample, because a salesman could actually carry a pair of the roller skates around with him, but certainly designed as like a promotional piece and then were used for dolls. Very rare. I've never seen them before. Well, those are all accessories we're selling individually, but for the, plus this one, the ever popular sac de voyage. The French have the elegant name for it, sac de voyage. If you were here in America and it was during the Civil War period, you called it a carpet bag. And that's why all the Northerners who went south after the Civil War were known as carpetbaggers, because this was their piece of luggage that they used. It's actually a very efficient piece of luggage because this opens, so you have storage at the bottom, and it's a very firm-sided, light wood bottom with a sort of a canvas cover over it, and then the top part opens separately, and you have the interior where you'd keep your things that you needed more accessible to, like toiletries and things. Very, very functional and useful piece of luggage, made in France and made in various sizes over a number of years. Okay, now I have some accessories that we're selling in groups, so I'm going to show you some. I love this, notable for the colors of the pieces. The parasol has a bone handle and opens to this very, very beautiful lavender and cream silk covering original and the ivory silk fringe. Hardly ever find that. But in case you're costuming your doll and you want everything matching, you can have a pair of kid skin gloves also in this wonderful, or more like a purple color at this point. And here is a mesh purse that has just a tinge of the kind of little lavender coloring that we would want to match. There is a fretwork fan, and then there is a wonderful ebony and tortoiseshell frame fan, hinged fan, with faint remains of the original painted scene on the front. So a beautiful accessory group. Let me show you some other. I could talk about these all day, and I guess it probably seems like I am. Okay, now we have wonderful accessories that could go on a desktop. This is great. Porcelain inkwell that has, look, the little removable blotter jar, like the powder would be here, and you'd sprinkle that on, and then you'd blot it so your ink did not run. And the little inkwell and the wonderful seams. And we have this clock, which is stamped made in Switzerland, the little travel clock, in its own original travel case. A wonderful pair of gloves. There's some beautiful gloves here in Laurie Baker's collection. And this is a wonderful pair right here with a ruffled scalloped bottom edge, kid skin. And the mother of pearl handled seal. Write your letter and put your seal on it. And then two silver-plated dance card books, and one of them with the original pen and with the fringe tassel and wonderful embossed designs, a very Art Nouveau type of flower design on it. Very lovely example. Let's move to this. Let me get this group over here in the front so we make sure we don't miss them. One of the things that you're seeing in these accessories, folks, are the kind of colors that were consistent for the period. And this is really important when you're costuming your dolls, that you have colors that were accurate to the period. The lavender, this particular shade of blue, very, very important. The ivory, the burgundy, they were very true to themselves. And a lot of it had to do not with consistency in fashion, but with the kind of dyes and fabrics that were available for the silks that they had. So, try to be consistent in what you're doing. This is a great group. We have this wonderful porcelain vinaigrette. Wait, I'll put this down so I can show you. It has the little, very, very fancy cast brass lid, which removes with the cork in it. We have a wonderful little purse with a blue silk lining, egg-shaped purse, metal. A beautiful gilt enclosed perfumery. White or kidskin gloves, and this time with blue trim, the scallop trim, and let me turn them around so you can see how intricately they were made on the back side. These were not simple pieces of work. Do you realize how tiny these are? And to do all of that meticulous little stitching, how terribly difficult this would have been? Very, very fine pieces. And we have a beautiful fleur-de-lis pin. And then, almost impossible to find, a matched pair of original blue garters. The elastic garters with a little brass clasp on them. Very, very dear. So that is a wonderful group. Oh, while we were here and we were looking at the lavender, I should have showed you this. Remember I said Maison Giroux? Keep that in mind. This, when I talk about Maison Giroux, remember this would be one of the works that they would have offered. It is, as you can see, in the shape of a piano with mother of pearl keyboard and mother of pearl inlay designs all over. Beautifully done workmanship, finest craftsmanship. It opens to a mirrored back and to the purple velvet lined interior, which is fitted with the various thread winders, a wonderful mother of pearl scissors, very, very beautiful pieces. This makes a great display with a smaller doll, like a 10-inch doll or a small poupée. And then I decided to leave this here to show you that we also have here this really great lavender silk poupée dress. It's offered separately. Very beautiful, in the Laurie Baker collection. Wonderful, intricate design of the workmanship and how the same fabric was used to create the cording around the edges here, and also very, very narrow little pleats. Very wonderful workmanship. Now, I hope it's not boring. I got about 3 more of these, folks, and then we can move on. In case you don't like accessories, go get a cup of coffee. Okay. Here we go. This is another great group. This has some wonderful jewelry in it. Look at this. Stuart's always favorite. He always makes to make like a joke about it because one time Luke made some funny comment about a skirt lifter, and so here it is. This wonderful accessory, a skirt lifter. It hinges open, and you could use it to pick your skirt up, and when you're walking on the street, so you didn't get dirt or dust on it or something. And now we laugh at that now, but come on. They were wearing long skirts. They were walking on dirt sidewalks or dirt streets. Of course you need a skirt lifter. Everybody does. There we have a wonderful little watch with a pocket watch, a faux watch, not a real watch, with the attached fob. We have mother of pearl opera glasses. Look at this hair comb. Isn't that wonderful? The tortoiseshell beads. Then a tinier little, tiny hair, decorative hair comb, almost impossible to find. I can hardly lift it up. And in this box, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, in this glass top box is this tiny pair of little tortoiseshell earrings to fit right in those pierced ear holes. Okay, and they come in their own little glass top box. That was a wonderful green, and you decide you want to do a little accessories to accommodate her. Always, of course, the nécessaire, the very classic French nécessaire with the Bombay case shaped body and the leather casing all over the fabric, the green fabric, and in this case, opening to, look at that. Wonderful little interior contents. Just a little bone handled and all little miniatures. Okay, we have a box, and inside it, a very ormolu handled, a little hook. We have another vinaigrette, and I'm sorry, I want to put this down so I can show you. We have, okay, this is the pin that would pin on the dress, and attached to it are several accessories, the tiniest of thimbles. I can hardly see it, and a little scissors, and then a wonderful vinaigrette. And you'd wear that as a brooch pin. We have, never seen these before, green opera glasses with a fob for attaching them to your belt. This is a very particularly charming little chain link purse because it has the little dangle balls at the bottom. Very, very precious there. And this bonnet is, oh, it's a dream. It's stiffened, like a stiffened mesh on top of white. And then it has a firm edging wrapped in silk, ivory silk and aqua silk, and with the little pink flowers and the wonderful feathers at the top. And now let me just show you the inside so you can see how it's made, because I know you all like to see this. This edging, I'm just realizing, is like a silk twill. You can see it more clearly when you see the inside. It's a beautiful little bonnet. But I skipped one of the green accessories, so I have to go back. And this was a very fine one. We have here, it includes the mother of pearl vinaigrette in the shape of an urn. Very, very wonderful. I always hate that term vinaigrette. You really didn't carry vinegar around in it, but it was originally designed, when they first had this type of receptacle, it was designed to cover unpleasant odors. Eventually it became into these very elegant forms and was used to carry perfume or cologne, that type of thing. But it continued with the name vinaigrette. I want to call it a parfumerie, but I don't think anybody would know what I mean. But that's a very beautiful piece. A very lovely, lovely handbag here with its original handle. And there's the opposite side. And it opens, and on the inside it's marked Brevete. And do you see the figural design of the woman's head down at the bottom frame? Let me see if it's on both sides. Down in the brass on the bottom is that wonderful figural head of a woman, which is very, very precious. A beautiful purse, in beautiful condition. And then finally, to complete the green accessorizing, this wonderful pair of gloves. Again, beautifully made, wonderful workmanship here. And I'm going to show you the back sides so you can see even to the back sides with a little button at the wrist how intricately they were made. Just a couple more trays of these. There are many more than these in the auction, but I just picked out some that I thought were especially charming or different. But there are many, many more you'll see when you go online to look after. This is for the wedding. This is for the bride, all right? This beautiful little vitrine case in which is stored the wax orange blossom bouquet or coronet of the bride, okay? I'm going to flip it open. You can see it inside. Beautiful beveled glass on the front of this vitrine. You know that over the years we've sold the wedding domes that have traditionally held the brides, real brides, a real woman, not a doll, a real person's wedding bouquet of wax orange blossoms or her coronet and other symbolic memories of the wedding, and then also fitted with lots of little brass ornamental pieces that symbolize how many children they had to have, how many years they've been engaged. One of them was engaged for like 12 years, which I thought, wow, just get it over with, get married. Went on for a long time. At any rate, there is that. There is a dainty little handkerchief. There is a tissonniere with a belt loop and a little corsage inside. There is a wonderful green bottle, again a little perfumery or a vinaigrette. Beautiful green glass bottle with brass ornamentation on it, and the cap and the brass belt ring. And this wonderful, wonderful pair of gloves. These are kidskin gloves, folks, and look at them. They are elbow length, and the one side is seemingly quite simple, and then you turn them around and look at that cut work, embroidered work on the back side for the elbow length gloves. Very, very fine. You can tell I really love accessories. For the red-themed doll, we have a papeterie. There are like 4 of these papeteries in the auction, all different colors. And this particular red one has the gilt lettering, papeterie on the front, and it hinges open to the very well-fitted interior with all of the different writing implements and tools, including the seal, the bone-handled seal. Let me just show you the front of that again. And then we have another pair of kidskin gloves, and these have the red scalloped edging and trim. There's a wonderful little box in the shape of a book, hinging open to a mirrored interior where you could keep little treasures. And finally, this wonderful porcelain inkwell with burgundy and gilt edging, and once again with the little, one an inkwell and one, I'm not sure what it's called, the blotter holder, the little, with the holes on the top where the blotter power would be held. Very, very wonderful piece, great accessories. So these are some of the accessories in that auction. There are many, many more. Many other wonderful costumes and pieces, and I'm going to be showing you a few more in just a moment.